Welcome back to my channel, Mama. On today's video, we are talking about the cons of homeschooling. There's cons. We gotta admit it. So get cozy, get comfy, and let's chat. I don't think I ever anticipated doing a video about the cons of homeschooling, but here's the thing. I want to be real. I want for you to understand, number one, that you're not alone, that we are all experiencing these things. And if we don't talk about them, then you may feel like you're the only one experiencing them. And also, for those who are considering homeschooling, I want you to have the full picture. I want for you to understand that it's not all rainbows and wooden toys and arts and crafts and field trips, right? There are days where you feel like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? So I wanted to just talk about the cons of homeschooling. Not, everything in life cannot be pro, right? Like we're not just gonna have, well, I only have pros to doing this, right? My decision is made for me, right? We're gonna have cons. And so it's important to talk about them and address them and not leave them as an elephant in the room. So let's get into the first con. The first con is that you are with your children all the time. And maybe not all the time, but a majority of the time. You're definitely with your children more than you're not with your children. Let's put it that way. And definitely more so than somebody who sends their kids to school, right? A public school. Is that a pro as well, right? Is there a flip side to that? Of course, right? It's a big reason why I decided to homeschool is I wanted more connection and time with my children. I didn't want to just see them at the end of the day and try and squeeze in all of our time together in 2 hours before bedtime. So yeah, there's a pro to it. But you also need to understand the flip side of that is that you're not really getting a break unless you're asking for help, which I fully support, I fully recommend. I think that we need to be talking about asking for help way more than we are, normalizing the fact that moms don't have to do it all, that we don't have to be like the only person in our children's lives. I ask for help, so we have a babysitter who comes to our house 3 days a week, twice during the week so that I can get my work done, and once on the weekend so that me and my husband can have our date night. But here's the thing, all of the other time I am spending with my children, even taking them to their activities. I'm not just dropping them off. I'm there, I'm watching them, I'm encouraging them, I'm supporting them, which I love, don't get me wrong, right? But also there are days where you're just like, I need a break. Again, which is why I ask for help, because I get that built-in break time. I have that to look forward to. I'm like, okay, we're going on day 3 of being together, but it's okay because I know that I'm gonna have a date night to look forward to with my husband in a day or two, right? So having those breaks built in definitely makes this con more of a pro because you know that you're gonna have that time for yourself. But yeah, it does go on the con list. You're gonna be with your kids all the time. Another con, and now this doesn't necessarily have to be a con for everybody, but it is a con for you if you're an introvert. You have to be social so that your kids can be social, right? If you want your kids to be engaging with other children, with other adults, just with human beings, right? You have to kind of turn on your social barometer. You have to turn it up, right? Which means that you're making friends, which means that you are taking them out more, which means that if you are a homebody, can you be a homebody? Of course. But if the concern is, well, how will I infuse socialization? Then you kind of need to break out of your shell, right? And so it could be a con, it could be a pro. Maybe like you need that. Maybe that's the reason that you are going to break out of your shell. And you know you've needed this for years, right? But it can be a con, right? If you're more of a homebody, if you like being in your home, but you also want your kids to be socialized, then yeah, it's a con. I feel like we also need to talk about like the big picture here of socialization, right? Like your children are being socialized all the time, right? Like that whole like, well, when will your kids be socialized? And I don't think kids are actually learning socialization in school. I feel like they're told to be quiet. Now it's not the time to play. Now it's not the time to talk. Save it for after school. Save it for on your own time. Like that's just my 2 cents. And I don't want to get, into a heated debate here, but I think that most of socialization is happening outside of school anyway. So you can be socializing with your kids during play dates with friends with family members, cousins, older cousins, younger cousins. The beauty of homeschooling is that your kids are not just around their own age group. They're teaching their younger counterparts, right? And then they're learning from older siblings, friends, family members. So socialization can happen by going to the library. Maybe there's like, a play group at the library, a circle reading, but also just going to the library and interacting with the librarian or the other kids who are there. Play dates, going to the park, like going to the grocery store and socializing with the people that are there. Like, it's happening all around us. But also those extracurricular activities. So if your kids are in sports, or if they are, my kids take skateboarding lessons. My oldest is in a drama lesson class. Like, there's socialization happening all around them. However, if you are more of an introvert, if you are more of a homebody, then yes, you will have to break out of your shell if socializing your children is important to you. The third con is that costs add up, especially if you are homeschooling more than one child, right? So not just on curriculum, right? Where like curriculum does add up. There are a ton of free resources out there where you can actually start homeschooling without having to drop a lot of money. But costs do add up, right? Costs on curriculum, costs on supplies, costs on materials, costs on field trips, costs on entertaining your child, costs on subscriptions for apps that you want to be using, costs on memberships to the museums that you want to be going to. Like, the costs will add up. And so a con can definitely be the cost associated with homeschooling. Again, there are ways to do it frugally, and so I don't want to deter you from homeschooling because you think it's going to be way more than you can handle. There are brilliant ways of homeschooling without having to spend, I won't say a penny, but much. Like using your library and getting books from your library, money saver. Thrifting books, money saver. Going to the museum on days where they have free admission, right? Sometimes if you are a local resident, then they have those days where you can go and it's free admittance, right? So there are ways for you to get clever and creative, but yeah, costs can add up depending on the type of homeschooling you're trying to create. Costs can add up. And the last con that I want to talk about is the role of you as parent and teacher, right? You're not just their parent anymore. You have to become their teacher. And sometimes, especially in the beginning, that can be very hard to navigate. You want to be their parent. You want to be their safe space. You want to be the person that they go to complain about their teacher, to complain about the school, to complain about all of the things, right, with learning. But when you're their teacher, you have to be enforcing it, right? You have to be strict. You have to tell them like, no, we have to get this done. Whatever that looks like for you, it might be different. However, all I'm saying is that it may be a little difficult to navigate your new role as parent-teacher, as teacher-parent, right? And so it takes time, right? It takes time for your children to see you in that role because they're only used to you being mom or dad, right? And so you have to give yourself grace, but you also have to give your children grace, right? They may not listen to you when you're saying like, no, come back and sit down and do this, because not only are you their parent, but they're at home, right? Where they feel comfortable. They're in their safe space. And so it takes time establishing a routine and establishing that trust, not just as parent, but as teacher, as I am the one who's instructing you. I'm the one that's learning with you. I'm the one that's teaching you. So you have to respect me as the role of teacher as well as parent, right? And there's a way to fuse the two together. I'm not saying be this like strict and stern teacher role for them. But you will notice that if you want to get it done, they'll walk all over you as parent, right? Because you're their parent, you're their safe space. They love you, you love them, you're always doing right by them. And so now when you're walking this new role, you will have to navigate, well, how am I going to show them that I do love them, that I do care for them? That's why I need to teach them. That's why we need to spend time doing school, because I need them to learn, I need them to grow, I need them to become lifelong learners. So maybe a short-term con, right? But it's definitely something that you have to learn to navigate. And because it takes time, it can become the reason that a lot of people fall off from homeschooling and they give up, because it does. It takes time, and it takes trial and error, and it takes having grace and having patience to learn how to navigate being teacher and parent at the same time for your parents, for your children. Okay, that's what I have for you today. Those are the cons that I've been able to think of. Now, again, for every con, there's a pro that, if you really want to homeschool, totally outweighs the cons, right? The cons are just hurdles that you overcome, hurdles that you solve for, right? Okay, I'm with my children all the time, so I'm going to ask for help so that I can have space away from them. Okay, the costs are going to add up, so I'm going to find ways to either cut back in other areas of our lives or figure out how to homeschool on a budget, right? So for every con, there's a solution, and then there's a pro that totally outweighs that con if homeschooling is right for you. But again, I felt it was important to just bring it up so that we have the full story, so that we're not just looking at other people homeschooling and thinking, well, how come it works for them and they're having all of this peace and they're having all of these great, moments, and we're over here struggling. We all have struggled. Every single mom who has decided to homeschool, no matter what they say, no matter what highlight reel they share, struggles with homeschooling. And so I just wanted to put it out there so that you're aware, but also you're not feeling alone. So maybe you're already a homeschooling mom and you needed to see this so that you know, I'm not alone. This is normal. We are getting into our groove. We're going to find our routine. We're going to find our rhythm. And this is exactly what I want. So I'm going to make an effort to continue at it. Okay, mama, that's what I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, if you like being in community with me, if my videos have been serving you, I would love for you to give this channel a follow. I have more videos coming on the way. I'm really enjoying creating this content for you and just, again, helping the homeschooling mama in business community, because I don't feel like she's being served enough. So I'll link my most recent video here so you can give that a play, see if that can serve you as well. And again, would love for you to follow, and I'll see you in the next video.